with Rebecca Huckeby, which, Rebecca, what are your career sales now?
Over 400.
Over 400. Very exciting. 400,000. Yeah, I guess that's true. Since everybody doesn't know you as well as I do, 400 meant 400,000. 400K. And you've won scholarships, worked as a student for many years with Cutco, right? Recently graduated, which is very exciting. One thing I know that you're really good at, besides building rapport, is phoning. So if you were giving advice to reps on phones, what would you want to tell them?
One of the biggest things with phoning is to have an approach that you use all the time and have it memorized so you can use it wherever you are. And the biggest tip that I wanted to share with phoning is a system that I use. So do you mind if I go ahead and show
No,
that?
that's fine.
Okay. So one of the things that I struggled with, especially when I was new, was calling people. I always felt like I was bugging someone. But after I've gotten to know a lot of customers who've had Cutco forever, I never feel like I'm bugging somebody. So, because I'm offering them a great product. So what I've done now is I'll sit down with a piece of paper and I'll draw a bunch of circles on it. And so let's say I need to call 15 people. Well, it's so easy to just stop at 12. So I draw circles, and then in each circle I'll make a phone call. So the first phone call I make, let's say nobody answers. I don't know if you can see this, but I write NA on it. And then the next circle I'll call somebody and they tell me to call them back. So I write CB. The next one, the customer says they didn't want to meet with me, so I'll write an X. And then the next phone call, they say they do. So I put a check mark. And so each circle has to be filled up. And I'm a little OCD about it, so I make sure that there's something in every circle. So if I need to make 15 calls, I won't stop at 12 because I still have a few more circles to fill out. At the end, it should look something like this, where there's something in each circle, and I can look at it and go, oh, okay, well, I had 8 people not answer the phone. I had 2 people tell me no, and then I had 5 people that wanted me to call them back, and then I had 3 people schedule an appointment. So it was a productive phone time, and I can see it on paper. So no matter what I did, even if I had no appointments booked, I still can see on paper that I physically worked in how many people I called.
Exactly. Which is a really easy way. I mean, there's probably many ways you go about doing this. It seems like a really easy way to, first of all, set a goal for phone time, which I think is important. Not everybody does that. They kind of sit down and go, I'm just going to call from this time to this time, but they don't really have a goal in mind. And sometimes it's easy to fill phone time with just shuffling through lead cards or, like whatever it is you can do to distract you. Practicing the approach, which isn't bad stuff, but it's just a matter of maybe you don't get all the work done that you wanted to. So setting a goal. And then also what I like about this is you can always see how the phone time, like what the stats were.
Right.
So if you kind of kept some of these things going, you could look at them over time and say, well, here's what tends to happen. For every so many calls I make, I get this many yeses, this many callbacks, whatever. Or maybe you even see some deficiencies. Like I'm getting a lot of callbacks. I need to talk to an FSM or my manager about how to handle that objection better.
Exactly. And I've done it for that reason, for the second reason, to look at it. And if I have so many people that wanted me to call them back, like the majority of it was callbacks, I'm like, okay, I need to change something in my phone approach. Maybe I'm saying something, I need to change something so that way I can get a few more yeses. Or maybe I've booked, so a ton of appointments, and I'm like, okay, what did I do good this phone time that I need to make sure I do next time to get more yeses every single time?
Absolutely. It seems like, I don't know if you do this too, but especially even if you made a little note on each card of when you made that call, you might even find out which times of day might be most productive for you.
Mm-hmm.
Which could change. I don't know if there would even be a pattern, but in case there was a pattern, that'd be great.
That's the banker in you.
Why did you start selling Cutco when you were a brand new rep? What made you want to take on this position?
I started selling Cutco in the beginning. It was one of my friends referred me, and he kept asking me to sell knives. Actually, he wanted to sell my parents' knives, and I wouldn't let him. And so he finally said, just come in for an interview. And I had 3 other jobs. I was a waitress, I worked at a dry cleaner's, and I babysat for a family every week. So Cutco was actually my 4th job. I went in, I saw a few other people that I knew in the interview. I decided to take the position because I knew I could, if I put in as many hours with Cutco that I did for those other 3 jobs, I could make at least twice as much money. And that's exactly what I did.
Very cool. And then what kept you around? I guess, what do you like best about being an FSM or CSP with Cutco?
I stuck around mostly because I started making a ton of friends. I went to every single team meeting. I got involved in management, and I just really immersed myself in the business, and I didn't want to get out of it.
So the culture mostly then. You just love the people and the culture and the business itself.
Yes.
That's cool.
I feel mostly though that I'm a kitchen problem solver.
Nice.
So I love going to someone's house and they have some kitchen fiasco. They have no idea what to do. And like cutting a butternut squash or a spaghetti squash has been a big one, or something random. They just don't have a good chopping knife, and to be able to solve their problem and then thank you later when they see you, it's a good feeling. So
Cool. Serving the customer. I love it. So what's your favorite thing about the product?
my favorite thing about the product is that it always works. It doesn't fail you.
Absolutely.
So I don't feel bad for selling it to anybody ever.
Absolutely. They'll have it a lot longer than you'll have the commission you made from the sale or whatever. Is there anything you think you do on demos that either increases the sales ratio or the average order size or anything like that you could share as tips?
My favorite thing is I bring a potato on every demo with me. I buy a whole sack of potatoes and I keep them in my refrigerator. They last longer that way. And before I leave my house, before my appointment, I grab as many potatoes that I have appointments. I have 3 appointments, I grab 3 potatoes, and that's what I'm cutting that day.
What do you cut with it? Like which pieces do you use?
I let them use a peeler or a paring knife. The cheese knife, which I call a holy knife, because some people go, "Oh, I don't buy cheese." So
Right.
they, with the holy knife, they just slice it. It's got holes in it.
Totally.
So
And it's great for potatoes and stuff like that because it doesn't stick to the blade, right? Because
Exactly.
potatoes usually are so like starchy and sticky.
right.
So that's why they like the holy knife.
And then you can use the potato to slice with the point of the Santoku knife, of the 7-inch and the 5-inch. You can slice it up, chop it.
Okay. So those 3 are the ones you usually use.
Yes.
Peeler or paring knife, so something to peel it with. Cheese knife. And then, does it matter which cheese knife?
I usually use the traditional, unless they already have the traditional, then I'll show them the Santoku cheese
Okay.
knife.
And then a Santoku. What are your favorite pieces? Do you have favorite pieces?
Yeah,
Oh, did I already say that? The answer to
Well, those are pretty much some of my favorite
that? Okay.
ones.
I guess, yeah, that's what you cut with, but yeah, I guess so. That's awesome. So, what would you say would be a couple of tips to selling sets rather than just pieces? So a set, a homemaker, or a galley, or a signature, or even a studio.
Writing prices down. That was my biggest downfall when I was brand new. I kept quoting prices, and I got confused in my head with the 5 pays and the 3 pays, and the customer was getting confused. And I find when the customer's confused, they're not buying anything. They're going to buy one piece because that is the simplest thing to do. But if you can make it easy for a customer to buy a set from you, then they will also buy a set. So I write the prices down on paper, I show them, and I explain the prices really, really well and make it super simple.
Right, and it's funny because I've also heard reps say, like, in closing, sometimes when you write stuff down and you show it to them and they're kind of looking at it and thinking about it and maybe silent, then it's almost like newer reps want to pipe in because it's like that awkward silence, but they're just thinking about it, They might actually be thinking positively about it, they're just thinking about it. So give them that time, right?
Exactly,
Let
yes.
them think, let them speak next. You're also really good at referrals.
Yes.
So what would be your biggest tips to just getting a high number of referrals?
My biggest thing with referrals was actually taught to me by Shannon Hutchinson, and she taught me to ask for referrals at the beginning of the appointment. Because it wasn't always that a customer didn't want to give me their referrals. They either didn't give me people because they knew how much the product was, so they left some of their friends off. They didn't have enough time, they've mentally checked out of the demo, and it was so much easier to start asking them at the beginning of the appointment because they had the whole 30, 45 minutes for the presentation. I gave them, examples of other people. I started showing them who their friends referred me to. And it was just kind of a non-pressure thing. It was just kind of expected. This is what people do. I'll give you some suggestions, kind of attitude. And I started getting between 8 and 12 every single time.
So you actually do the referral approach at the beginning of the demo. Okay.
Yes.
Which is more rare. I have heard a lot of reps say that they at least mention the referrals at the beginning. Something along the lines of, hey, my biggest goal here today isn't to make a sale or, for you to buy something because I do get paid regardless and I appreciate your time. But my biggest goal really is to, impress you enough as that you'll like me and like the product that you'll introduce me to some friends. And so, and then they just say that and then they go on and then still ask for referrals. And at least that way they're expecting it.
Right.
It's something like that. I think I botched that up a little bit, but
Yeah, no, I actually ask, and I have the notebook out and give it to them, and sometimes the customer will take it and immediately jot down all 12, and then I'll start my presentation. So before I show them anything, I already know that it's gonna be a great demo because I have 12 referrals.
Right.
So,
That's exciting. That's totally like counterintuitive. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I would never expect that because I'm so used to it the other way. But I'm so glad that it works for you. Anything else that you feel is just a strength of yours that you'd want to share a tip for?
my biggest tip would be consistency. I've been selling Cutco since August 2005, and every campaign, whether it was fall or spring, my lowest campaign I ever sold was like $14,000, and that was in a spring campaign. But every other campaign, I made sure to at least get up to the 20 mark, and I did that consistently, and it's just because I sell every week. So no matter what, I'm gonna make some kind of sale. So.
Okay. So what do you think is the key to that? Is it is just making sure you have phone time in every week, or is there anything particular that you use to hold yourself accountable to at least doing some sales every week?
Phone time usually helps.
Yeah, for sure. So just making
Absolutely.
sure there's always some phone time.
Or you have something coming in.
Right. That's so funny. Well, you're at the level now too where you do some past customer marketing. So even if it
Right.
weren't phone time, it could be a
Email.
postcard out or an email or something like that, which has been really helpful for you. So that's cool. So, I'm trying to think if there's anything else you'd want to share that I haven't asked you so far?
Those are going to be all my golden nuggets for now.
Golden nuggets from Rebecca Huckeby. All right, we'll be back at you for a future QRT. Keep your eyes open. Thanks, Rebecca.